can. I can hear your music too. It's not a big deal. Oh, I'm here. I guess feedback from the stream, maybe. Oh, I am. I want to go. Let's see, chat only. Okay, there we go. Yeah. Whatever you want to do, I'm here to support you. I'll make sure it works. Okay. Yeah, hopefully see what the crowd chat size gets to. Different since you're streaming different hour. Can you share your screen so I can just kind of follow what you're looking at? I'll watch that. So. There it works, yes. I don't. Yeah, I'm looking at. You're currently looking at your stream manager, so. Okay. I don't know. Okay. Okay. That works. Yeah, I can lurk in the background. I'm watching an ad for your stream right now on my phone. I'm just gonna have the chat on the phone. That way I can. Hopefully you got 0.5 thousandths of a cent. I don't believe there's anybody in here, but I guess our conversation's been being streamed. I didn't know if knew that or not. Oh, it's just me then. Everybody's listening to me talk. I guess that's okay. I don't know.
Me. Okay. How are you? How was your Monday?
Tuesday?
Mm-hmm. That's what I said.
Good. I'm currently in Flint, Michigan for work.
Oh my god. Okay.
Just hanging out in a hotel room.
Wow. I didn't expect to hear that. I thought you'd be at home, but
Nope. So this actually works out better. No,
yeah. Gives you something to
no
do,
kids
I
to
guess.
wrangle the bed.
Yeah.
So.
So you have everything running through your phone right now?
So I have. I'm only using my phone to look at the chat. Everything, voice and screen shares all through the computer.
Oh, okay. So you have the computer with you. Very good.
Yes.
All right. Well, I am live. I'm waiting for some people to show up. If they do, no big. If they don't, no big deal. But I guess I will talk about. I guess we could start talking about these cards. So, what do you think about Kamigawa so far?
Definitely feels more pushed for more formats outside of standard versus the last two sets. Kind of what I've been seeing social media wise is definitely a lot of good cube stuff. Other formats, Legacy, Commander. Uh, so far it's been pretty exciting as far as cube for myself.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of cube stuff in here. Also.
Also, I don't know if you read the Morrow's article, but McDarby was involved a lot with the kind of internal design stuff, so there may be some stuff that made it in just based on some live the dream cube cards.
Just like
So
submitting designs based on their application in cube.
right.
That's pretty cool. I mean, there's definitely cards that I could point to that I wouldn't say like were made for cube designers, but like certainly have cube and are very like impactful for cube.
Right. And it appeals to a lot of different types of cubes. So
yeah. Yeah, I really like the Planeswalkers. I think they're all incredible.
mm-hmm.
If I could just like take one piece of the puzzle out as an example of why I'm excited for it, it'd be all four of the Planeswalkers. I think are fantastic for like very specific reasons.
Especially just even the CMC. So a good 3-mana walker. I think all the other ones are 4, so
yeah.
Technically 4 if you look at Tamio, but
I had a couple people already test Kaito Shizuki since it was spoiled early, and they absolutely loved it. So, I mean, it's a really small sample, but I had some really awesome feedback from that really quickly. It was like in a Grixis shell.
right.
Like a Grixis mid-range shell that had like a bunch of disruption, almost like a aggro control deck, and it just did a lot of work.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like Grist from MH2.
Mm-hmm.
Down early, hard to deal with, a lot of value.
And Grist is probably like one of the most powerful cards in MH2, but it doesn't get any credit because of Lurrus of the Dream Den existing. Like right. in Eternal formats. I think it's been played in Legacy Elves because you can Green Sun for it. But in Modern, like there's aside from like maybe Yawgmoth, there's like really no reason to even play it because of Luris. So it like I think it would be played a lot more. It's one of many cards that would be played a lot more if Luris couldn't be companion. But like as a cube card, I think it really is rarely where you see it shine. It's so good. Like it has a lot more applications as a in all the other zones, being able that you could put it into play from the graveyard or from your library. It's incredible.
Yeah, who doesn't like to pod into a planeswalker?
I know. Or unearth a planeswalker. This is so cool.
What do you think of the, I guess, balanced or fair Phyrexian cost on Tamiya?
I think it's really, really cool. I think like it works flavorfully for the card, so like the narrative is really good, and I think the flexibility of the card's casting cost and how that impacts the way you have to play the card is one of the things I'm so excited by when I look at it.
Right.
I'm kind of like picturing this card as a fractured identity, but it operates in the graveyard. So like, you play this for 5 mana and you create a token of a card in your graveyard, right? Mm-hmm. And if it costs less than 5, then you have a planeswalker in play also.
Right. And even at 5 mana, it's still very reasonable.
Yeah. I think like 5 mana for a walker and a permanent in play is fine. And I think like the lower your cube curves, if you're trying to like optimize for efficiency, then just like playing it for 4. Let's say you play it for 4 as 3 loyalty and you just reanimate a Tarmogoyf. Like that's something that I'm really interested in doing in my cube.
Is, I guess, exiling a land too powerful? As they say, non-land, so...
Yeah, because it'd have mana value X, so you can just do it every turn for 0. That seems like to be like an unnecessary amount of like power that goes on the card.
Right.
One thing I also like about this card is it has tension with graveyard interaction. So like, if you want to exile cards from your graveyard to put them into play, you do remove them from the graveyard permanently. So if you are playing Delirium, right, Escape, Delve, those kinds of effects, those like utilization of the graveyard, it does have some tension there, which is nice. Yeah, I just think this card is like the biggest gray area to me, but it's also in that regard it's like I'm the most excited to actually just put it on the battlefield.
Right.
Let me do this.
Yeah, there's, a lot of choices. So do you cast it early? Do you get full value by waiting a turn? What's a great cube target if you did cast it early?
Oh,
and it's at 3.
Yeah, like if you played on 4.
Right.
So you can get like, I mean, whatever. Like you could go up the chain and just name powerful cards that cost 2 and 3 mana, and like,
right.
Like I could like cast this on 4 and reanimate Ren and 6 and draw a land out of my graveyard.
Yeah.
That's pretty insane. I could like I said, like you could like put a Baleful Strix into play. You could do all you could just name a good 2-drop and like it works with it. Does have to be a permanent, but not hard to get permanents to graveyard playing blue-green. Yeah.
What do you think of the Jin Cataxis? Too expensive?
Jin Cataxis is a reanimator to me. It's not like I don't think if I'm running this in a cube, I don't expect to be hard casting a card like this. I'm expecting this to be like, if your cube wanted to play Chancellor, the White Chancellor, this is kind of like the White Chancellor, but it's also like Tidespout Tyrant, but it's also kind of not either of those things. So it occupies like a similar space in that it's heavily disruptive once it's on the battlefield. It's not the hardest thing to kill. It's just a 5/5, so you know you're still gonna get like your 2-for-1 out of it regardless, but and it doesn't like kill super quick, but getting this out is gonna just cause a lot of like I'm viewing this as like an exhumed target or whatever, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of awkward that this just came out just after Hullbreaker Horror. Kind of feels like that same high cost role.
You see it more as a finisher, or what?
Yeah, I think it's more of a build around to me, I guess. You know, obviously it's harder to kill, but you still have to, if you don't have ways to benefit off of it by casting spells afterwards, it's not like it just wins the game on its own.
Yeah.
Because it's a 5/5 with no evasion.
Yeah, the body isn't very good. You know, it's more like you get to double and you get to heavily disrupt somebody that's like leaning heavily on instants and sorcery specifically.
Right. So, you know, you're doubling up time walks or stuff like that. That's how you benefit from it. Where Hullbreaker is just a much more impactful card for the same amount of mana.
Yeah, Hullbreaker is like, to me, it's like a control win condition, right? Whereas like I don't want to invest 7 mana into this card.
Right.
You can like eat stack interaction. Your opponent can just like cast a Ponder and then cast a Doomblade, and then you're just like, they got 2-for-1, but then like your way of winning the game was a little too fragile at that point. And at 7 mana, that's like a lot of mana to put into a creature. To have it die so easily. So, yeah, I think if you want to play like a giant threat, I'd rather just see Hullbreaker. In like a way, as a dedicated control deck, you know.
Right.
If you're just like ramping into big stuff, this is just like a thing that you can play. Like in a Live the Dream Cube environment, this is probably like a card that
it definitely shines more in that environment.
Yeah.
Getting to copy big X spells or stuff like that. What else? There's a new Kiki Jiki.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that. Let me talk about the walkers first.
All right.
So the Wandering Emperor is like also a card I'm very, very excited to play with. I think this is the one that like is gonna really show off what it can do when it's actually on the battlefield, because it almost I know like people are really excited about this card, but I think like playing this, actually just playing a bunch of games of this is gonna show off how cool this card is and how multi-dimensional it is. I can't really think of a situation where you wouldn't want to play this, which is like a huge bonus. It's like a huge point in its favor. Like,
yeah, it's almost like a charm, right? Like, pay 4 mana and instant speed, and you know, what would you like to do with it? Exile your attacker, put a blocker into play, or pump your blocker or attacker.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this just screams like, how do we make a white card playable?
Yeah. This is like what Restoration Angel was 10 years ago. You know? Like, Resto, like, blew people's minds. I mean, I still play Resto in my cube. I think that card's still really good. This is like the 2022 version of like a powerful white four drop.
Right. No, I think this should be in a lot of cubes. So, like you said, I don't see a time where you would not want to have this card in your deck if you're playing white.
Yeah, any kind of white deck, like interacts well against any board state, basically. Mm-hmm. Super cool card, really really cool card. And then Tezzeret. Tezzeret is like more for like cubes that are combo centric or centered around like doing a bunch of unfair stuff. Because that static text, I think the static text is like the most scary or powerful, dangerously potentially powerful thing on all of these planeswalkers.
Right, and to do it at 4 mana as well, I think. Is also just an added benefit that to be able to get it down early and then every turn it works every turn. So
yeah, so
it works. To do that.
It's a discount that happens immediately, and you can use it on your opponent's turn.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like paying you back for it, like so quickly if you have any way to take advantage of this. So like this card is so open-ended and like the kinds of things you can use to abuse it that like I can't even sit here and tell you what it is. Because I don't know. Like I haven't sat here and thought about what I want to use Tezzeret with, except to say that like that static scares the shit out of me because of the potential of what it can do.
Right.
So yeah, and then like okay, so then like it draws 2 and discards 1 unless you or draw 2, discard 2, or discard an artifact. Sure. I don't mind putting cards in my graveyard in the year 2022. You can just make 2 4/4s with it and put it in the graveyard, or you have draw a million cards, which I don't know how often that's going to come up, but
yeah, it feels like I don't know if this is just general Planeswalker design. It feels like the last abilities have been less and less impactful. It feels like Planeswalkers, it's very rare you actually get the ultimate of Planeswalker anymore. Because they're +1 or -2 or whatever, just so strong that the game's usually over before you even get to ultimate of Planeswalker.
Yeah, it doesn't. We're far away from the Jason the Mind Sculptor, Liliana the Veil kind of ultimates.
Right.
Where it's like, oh, I just lose. That's probably better. I mean, it's better in that you're like the game could still continue after the Planeswalker Ultimate, even though you're just like an overwhelmingly like you're just a dog against somebody that has Ultimate of Planeswalker, but the game still continues. It's not like your hand becomes your library and like you have to just draw from your library that's also your hand or whatever.
Right.
Or I have to sacrifice half my permanence or...
you also see they're also like... It's easier to reach, so for this one you activate the +1 twice and you're ultimate already. So along the lines of they're not as endgaming, they're also easier to achieve, but still it feels like even if you activate plus or minus a few times, you're still so far ahead that the ultimate usually doesn't come into play.
For sure. Yeah.
Do we know if is this all the Planeswalkers that are going to be in the set?
Yeah, it's the 4. Okay. These 4 of them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just overall, like, I'm getting all of them. I'm testing all of them. I would not be surprised if, 3 of them stay in the cube. Hazel, you run the bridges in your basic station. So what? It makes it better, right? Don't you want indestructible 4/4s than the minus from your lands? Now that seems like all upside for Tezzeret if you want to play nothing but power, like very extremely efficient interactive Magic. Okay, so yeah, I guess we're both on the same page about the walkers. How do you feel about these dragons?
Obviously they're a nod to the original 5 dragons.
Yeah.
These of course feel more pushed in the stats as far as casting and power and toughness, but I think their abilities fit today's Magic versus back then. You get choices.
Mm-hmm.
I do like more when stuff dies triggers. I think that's another area of the game that could be explored more. I know there's a card, can't think of the name, that's in the set. It has a when it leaves the battlefield. I think it's an artifact.
Yeah, it's the Filigree Familiar.
Yes.
But it leaves the battlefield as its text.
So that's fun with blinking, but I think these are they fit the mythic look and feel, but I think there's just a lot of, I don't know what they would replace in the standard cube area. I mean, how many 4/4 for 4 dragons do we need?
Right. So if you're looking at like something like the Arena Cube, right? I think Maniform, Hellkite, and the other one are a lot better than this card. And then you have Glorybringer at 5 and whatever else we have in the dragon section. Yeah, there comes... we don't need all 4, and I like what the other ones do a little more, even though I understand just like on rate the card is decent, you know? Like a 4 mana 4/4 flying trample's like a fine. It's just like a fine rate for a creature.
Exactly. It's like, what's going to win the game? The fact that you can attack with this in 5 turns and win, or what it happens when it dies. I guess you're just kind of getting paid off if it does get dealt with. You're getting some value back out of it. So,
yeah.
In that right, they are mythic, and I'm definitely playing it in limited. I just don't know if they make any cubes, or like you said, I think Arena Cube's a good example where with limited card pool, I definitely see them playing or being in there.
Yeah, I think these cards are like, if you were playing like the Arena Cube, these cards are like more, they do more things than like Lyra Dawnbringer does. So in that regard, I kind of like them. Even though like Lyra is just like hits a lot harder. Like then Ayo, this Dawn Sky. So it's like, you know, you can make that value judgment of like, do I just want like a big old angel, or like do I want something that like this? And
right.
I think these will be just like something that makes that level of cube more easily.
That's the red and white ones. What is the blue and black one? I don't think you've seen the green one yet.
The black one is going into my one EDH deck that I have. It's going to go into my Marin deck. Because it is a 5/5 Flying Menace for 5, and when it dies, you can make everyone discard, all your opponents discard 2 cards and lose 2 life, or you can reanimate a non-dragon card from any graveyard onto the battlefield under your control, and you lose 2 life.
So this one I could definitely see being played in some cubes. I think it does enough to where maybe replaces another random demon that's in there now. Menace is great, obviously, especially at 5 mana. This feels like the text, it should be more like 6 mana, but
I mean, we had Doom Whisperer. Wasn't that like a 6/6 flying trample or something?
Yes, it's surveilled for pay to life.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that it replaces itself with potentially something better um, has pretty good upside.
Yeah.
And any graveyard too. It's seems unnecessary, but not gonna complain.
I think it's fine rider text because if you play this in a reactive deck that's creature light, you can still get a value out of the out of that trigger. Like, so that means that like if you're playing it in an aggressive deck, you can make the control deck discard or reanimate, and if you're playing it in a reactive deck, you can steal one of your opponent's creatures that you killed. I think that gives it just more play. You know what I mean? Like it.
Yeah.
I'm not bothered by it, but I see what they're trying to do because they're trying to make. I think they're trying to make all these dragons good. Against different strategies. Like they're trying to be a little mid-rangey, but also have play against slower decks.
Mm-hmm.
So the blue one, similarly, is 6 mana, which I think it is actually it's the only 6 mana one. I think. Yeah.
It's also the only one with 6 toughness as well.
Yeah, it's a Colossal Dreadmaw. But maybe slightly better. And it's flying in Ward 3, which is actually kind of a nombo with wanting the death trigger, but I guess what am I going to complain about? It's a 6/6 flyer.
Is Ward, is it only when an opponent targets, or
Yeah.
is it any target?
It's only when an opponent targets it.
Okay.
It is the fixed version of Hexproof. At least in my opinion it is. So Kairi, when it dies, you get to either return any number of non-land permanents with total mana value 6 or less to their owner's hands. Which is like Ward 3 is great because it's like if it only costs 3 mana when evaluating mana efficacy versus removal. I love Ward. I think Ward is incredible. I think it's one of the best design like evolutions they've made from like Hexproof and Shroud for like protection based keywords. I think it's great. I don't know. What do you think about Ward?
I agree. It's definitely fair. You know, you at least have a chance to interact with it, even though it's attacks, but definitely balanced. And I think, to me, it feels like the mana, the ones 2-3 mana are definitely the most impactful, versus the life or discarding cards, etc. But I think it's a great correction to what Hexproof was, and Shroud even farther back than that.
So I'm in the camp that I thought Shroud was great because I thought it was like cleaner, but apparently I'm in the minority on that, and I'm okay with that. But I thought just like nobody can target it with anything was an easier thing to grok than only I can, which apparently. The reason they made Hexproof is that people treated Shroud like Hexproof intuitively when they played with it. And so that's why they made the change. Because it was in favor of how people were playing with the keyword. Even though it's slightly less intuitive. Or to me it is. It's slightly more complicated. But yes, I'm with you. It also Zol brings a good point. Says like making creatures with ward allows them, like especially ward taxes allows them to push the removal a little bit because then you can your good removal can interact with the ward creatures, like creates a nice bit of necessary tension there. Yeah.
How do you feel like the blue one stacks up to the other
Oh, we didn't even talk about the second ability yet.
Oh.
When it dies,
Yep.
mill 6 cards and return 2 instant and or sorcery cards from your graveyard to your hand. It's fine. It's whatever. I'm not like very excited about this card, personally.
No, I think the fact that it costs 6, definitely puts it a rank lower than the black one.
Yeah.
Is the green one out yet? They've shown that.
Didn't we see it? They didn't like officially preview it. It's somewhere. It'll probably get shown this week.
Okay. Maybe it's the best one because they love pushing green.
Because it's green. Yeah. Yeah.
But out of the 4 that so far, I feel like the black one's definitely the best out of the bunch.
Yeah, and the red one is like cheap or whatever, so that it's always got something good going for it. But there's just so much congestion
In that spot.
Especially if you're playing with a more like standard power level cube. There's just a lot of space there already. What is the name of that dragon? The one that like when you cast a spell, you can like discard your hand and draw cards. It was from one of the Innistrats. It's like seeing play in like modern Moonvale region. Yeah, that's right, Zol. Yeah, that's the one I was trying to think of. The 4-mana one. Here, let me actually pull it up. When you cast a spell, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw a card for each of that spell's colors. Yeah. And it dies, it deals damage or whatever.
It's AFR. Yeah, I've never played with that card.
Yeah, people are apparently playing it in Ponza decks and stuff. It's like actually seeing play.
Oh.
I mean, it's seen play in arena formats as well, but
Okay.
Yeah.
Midnight Hunt. That's what. Okay.
Midnight Hunt. I don't know. It looks kind of like AFR, doesn't it? Okay. So I don't want to go over everything. I kind of wanted to just go over the dragons because they're like big, flashy-looking mythics. I do want to just kind of like go through and pick out some other cards that I'm really excited about. If you see anything that you want to talk about, just let me know. I'm not really interested in the saga. Maybe other people are.
What are your thoughts on sagas in general? I feel like they are making a big comeback in this set.
I know. There's been a lot of push for sagas, and these are like saga transform cards.
Right. I think each saga is a creature on the other side.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Cool design space. They're all really slow. So they're hard for me to evaluate. Like my gut reaction is to just say they're all too slow. Like the Kami War is like, hey, it like kills a thing and then it like recoils a thing and then it like becomes a beater. But like having to have 6 mana, like this is like, to me this is like a live the dream card because it's 5 colors. Like you're not pressured too much.
Cast, but it's doing 5 color things.
Yeah, it's doing 5 color things, and you know it interacts on multiple axes. So yeah, but like I like sagas. I think they're really cool. I just think all the ones I've seen so far in this set are a little slow. To see for me to like want them competing with other cards in like a powerful cube, but I'm definitely gonna put some number of them in like my chaos cube, which is like my low power cube.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can see some number of them being okay there, because that format is a lot more conducive to being able to get a little value like that and have like smaller creatures and stuff. Taking a little more time, be more board centric. I don't know if we need to talk about Boseiju. Like, I think everybody understands how broken this card is.
Right.
It's definitely going into my most powerful cubes. It's definitely going to be a format staple in every single Eternal format and in Commander. I think this card is unbelievable. It's probably going to be the most expensive card in the set.
Yep. Get your full art blingy ones.
Yeah.
Now why they're cheap.
Yeah, if they even ever are cheap. I don't know. People might sell out of these at high ticket prices, so we'll have to see.
Zol mentioned that he was a fan of the new Kiki.
Okay, well then I guess we're going to have to talk about it then.
Yep.
Fable of the Mirror Breaker is 2 in a red. 1, create a 2/2 red.
Easy to cast.
Yeah, it's definitely easy to cast. Creates a 2/2, so you get like a gray ogre, and then it says whenever this attacks, create a treasure token. Okay, fine. And then your next turn, you get to discard it to 2 cards, and if you do, draw that many cards. So like ideally, next turn you untap, draw, attack with this, make a treasure. It trades probably or whatever. And then you're like rifling through a couple cards. Okay. And then you flip it next turn and you get a 2/2 again. The reflection of Kiki-Jiki. That's really cute. 1 tap, create it. So it doesn't have haste, right? So you can't actually activate this.
Correct. It does not have haste.
Create a token that's a copy of another target non-legendary creature you control except it has haste. Yeah, I mean, that's really slow. Like, 4, 5. I mean, you can't even activate this till turn 6 and you only have a 2/2. That's, I mean, again, it's just slow. Like, it's a cool card.
Yeah, like Soul said, true, you only get to activate on turn 6, but it's not like you don't get something when you get there. The way I look at it is in a cube, especially like the Dream Cube, where Kiki-Jiki 1 is just really hard to cast, and 2 can lead to broken combos or whatnot. This kind of is in that more fair range, since it does cost 1 to activate, so there's no infinite loops. I think you could fit that role.
Yeah, it's definitely a
better,
fair version of Kiki-Jiki. Yes, they definitely did that. They definitely did that. I mean, it's definitely going into my Chaos Cube. Let's put it that way. And I think I could easily see this in Live the Dream. Easily. Yeah. I mean, these cards are cool. I expect these are going to be more exciting and limited, like just booster draft. But I don't know. We'll see. Hard for me to see how much them being slow to get going is going to impact their playability.
Right.
But at least this one makes a body right when it enters the battlefield, and isn't too expensive. Let's see. Anything else I wanted to talk about? What is this? Is this that new one? 4 mana, Chapter 1, bounce a creature or planeswalker. Chapter 2, draw an artifact card from your graveyard if you can't draw a card. Chapter 3, flip it into a 3/3 flyer whenever you cast a spell your opponent can't cast spells with the same mana value as that spell until your next turn. Cute. I have no idea how to evaluate this kind of card. Like, it's an expensive bounce spell. It's like 4 mana sorcery speed bounce. Next turn, draw a card, either an artifact from your graveyard or from the top of your library. The next turn, you get a 3/3 flyer. And you can, like, kind of, sort of, maybe stop them from casting a spell for like a couple turns.
Yeah, it's it's a 3/3 with a little bit of upside.
Yeah.
But that's turn 6.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this card. Invoke Calamity. This card I think is really good. This is the kind of card I want to see in your Live the Dream Cube. One
is it has Live the Dream text, that's for sure.
It does.
The mana cost is
prohibitive.
Prohibitive. There we go.
But it has a really crazy text box.
Yeah, I think they all fit the cycle pretty well. I just wish the casting cost, I don't know, equals the reward.
It is hard to cast, yes. That's true. Like
6 is I don't know if 6 is the right value. So that's like 2 3s or a 2 and a 4. Or one 6 mana spell, so you're up 1 mana.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 7 or 8 would have been a little more crazy, but
it would have been crazy. Any higher you go on this, it opens the door for that much more. Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm like, maybe you have too many expensive cards in the cube for this to be like really pushed, but like,
right.
You know, this is like a storm card to me. Because you can cast like Seething Song and like something else. And you could do something really really busted with that kind of stuff. So to me it's like combo-y card. It's less of a value card.
Yeah, I feel like it's weird because like sure you could cast like 2 burn spells, but then like is a burn deck gonna be playing this card?
No.
Probably not.
No, it's like a deck that wants like rituals and like Mizzix masteries and shit is gonna want to play this. It is the one I'm most excited for of the cycle, because like the black one is just like they sack a creature, if they can't you get value, and then they do it again for an enchantment and a planeswalker. So it's like a value card. But
yeah, interesting that Wizards continues to introduce ways for black to interact with enchantments.
I think it's good. I think it makes sense for black.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey Tom. How are you, bud? Hey Boo. Yeah. Never heard you call me that before in all our years together. Yeah. This card is okay. I think I'm excited by Calamity. This card, I think the blue one like is a control magic. Gain control of target artifact or creature, untap it. Yep. Clean, easy, powerful. Like it. Definitely played a lot of Tempted by the Auric in my cube over the past year. Was very happy to have that card in there. So this is like, you know, I guess to me, like, if you're playing a big cube that wants a lot of control magics in blue, this is like another one of those. Because it can like flexibly target artifacts too.
The mana cost, I can't get past the mana cost.
It's
Like they could have made it like.
It's hard. Maybe I'm just like not looking at the mana cost. I'm just like thinking of the mana value. Yeah.
Well, usually in the decks you draft, you're gonna have plenty of ways to make the mana work.
Why? Because I take lands.
Take the land.
Take the lands. This is really just a 5-color gold card. Don't be mistaken.
Right.
It's just in a cube full of dual lands.
I feel like as like if your cube has Gilded Lotus in it, then yeah, you can just jam these in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, watch out because they'll take your Gilded Lotus.
Exactly. There you go.
Invoke Justice. Return target permanent from your graveyard to the battlefield, then put 4 +++ counters on any number of creatures and vehicles. It's okay. I mean, you could bring back a Planeswalker and then buff up a creature, I guess? I don't know. Or just bring a creature back and buff up your creatures.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's not too many cards that say return target permanent, so that's always an interesting angle to a reanimate spell.
It is. Yeah.
And it's like, and we'll tack off 1/1 counters because that's what white does. It's like,
yeah, that's okay. I think if you, if you should be testing these cards, or think about testing these cards if you like have the ability to cast them, if you feel comfortable with that. They're not auto includes by any means, so but that's a good point. I'm probably overlooking the 4 pips.
yeah. I mean, even if it was 2 colors, like I'd feel better than being 2 colors versus 4 of 1 color.
Yeah.
And I don't.
Two colors actually would make them wildly easier to cast.
Right.
Yeah. Ugh. Next card I want to talk about. Sorry, go ahead.
Lion Sash.
Yeah,
I great.
Card's great. I love it. You gave us Scavenging Ooze that can be tutored up by Stormforge Mystic.
Right.
I just want to take a moment to talk about Reconfigure also.
Okay.
I think it's mostly a limited mechanic, but like I think Reconfigure is just an absolutely brilliant evolution of Bestow, Equip, Mutate. I think it's like probably it's my favorite version of this kind of mechanic that they've made. Like, I think this is so sweet. It's just there's so much play to these cards. Like, equip this to a creature, attack with the creature, unequip it, now it's unblocked. Or it's untapped. So you can, like, block with it on your opponent's turn.
Right.
If they kill the creature, this falls off and becomes the creature again. Like, it's like a flexible Bestow card, right?
Yeah, I do agree that it also, you run into those awkward moments with Equip where you don't have another creature in play, so it's like stuck on your creature.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the flexibility of, again, more choices in Magic is always, in my mind, good. Different angles or plays. All around a good thing. I wonder if they're going to have a reconfigure at instant speed, either something that grants it or maybe a card has. You can reconfigure at instant speed.
Maybe some blue one. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, I'm a huge fan of this card. Not as big a fan of Lizard Blades for Cube. However, I think decks like Hammer Time would probably like to have a card like this. Just because you can like put double strike on your creature that has a hammer. And some people are splashing red in those decks. So So this card has potential also, being that it's a Stoneforge Mystic. Like the fact that you can tutor these up with that is just so cool. I mean, I love Stoneforge Mystic, and I think giving people access to like a different kind of target that's not quite it's similar to Living Weapon but has more flexibility to it is really really cool. So I break Singleton in my powerful cube for Stoneforge Mystic, and like so I'm excited to test like for in particular Lion Sash. Yeah, so very very cool. Now on to another cycle that I want to talk about, the Marches. I'm going to test the blades, just want to live the dream of curving it into war gear or maul the Skyclaves. Just equipment stuff. You should play the equipment creatures then, like Aki. If you want to go that hard in equipment. Or you should just build a red-white equipment commander deck. There's probably good commanders for that. I'm not too versed on it, but I'm sure they exist. Okay, March of Otherworldly Light. It is a X and a white instant. You can exile an artifact, creature, or enchantment with mana value X or less. So in other words, if you pay white, you can exile a 0-drop. If you pay white 1, you can exile a 1-drop, so on and so forth. And then you can cost reduce it by exiling cards that share a color with the spell from your hand. Putting aside, like, yeah, think about it in terms of cube. March is like an inefficient but flexible, a slightly inefficient but flexible removal spell. I would be over the moon about this card if it hit Planeswalkers.
Right. Like 9 non-land permanent.
Yeah. But like as it stands, it might still actually just be good enough if you just need a density of removal. I probably am still going to test this anyway. And I think the additional cost is in cube is almost never going to come up, except maybe in like a mono white deck or something, like an more aggressive deck.
Would it be better if it was discard versus exile?
No, I mean yeah, it would be better because the graveyard is a more valuable zone, but I'm not really concerned with that on balance. I just like...
to me, it just feels bad having to discard spells. And I guess mean in a pinch, if it came to it, you'd have to. But it'd be hard for me to justify discarding 1 or 2 cards.
Well, the input of discarding, exiling spells from your hand in order to kill 1 permanent isn't great, right? On the output, like you're still only trading for 1 permanent, so like discarding a card and spending a mana to kill a creature in cube doesn't feel great. Like I don't want to do that. I just want to use this as X is like I'm paying mana, right? Like I'm paying over 1 mana over the mana value of the permanent, and that's it. It's not very exciting.
Do you see that card? Do you see this card joining the white removal suit, or do you see it possibly replacing something?
I don't see it as replacing anything. No.
Yeah, I can't think of something I would replace this with.
I would just probably just test this, and if people are happy with it and I like the way it looks, then I'll just continue playing with it. But I don't know. Like the trading down on mana is just a tough ask. In a cube like mine, that's all based on a lot of it is based on rate and efficiency. So it's gonna be a tough ask for me. But I think people, I am probably still gonna test this at some point, especially if I get good feedback on it. So I don't think people should be scared of something like this, especially if they just are looking for more white removal. I mean, white removal is just kind of rough to begin with, so having an instant speed flexible answer is probably something that people might want anyway. So I get it. I'm down.
Yeah, I wonder if they played with the space of, instead of you exiling a card, maybe the opponent draws a card. I guess either one feels bad, but
I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't see it's. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard for me to justify that much of a loss of
Did you see chat?
card advantage.
Somebody is
Yeah, I see that.
Jake is excited to hear your lovely and soothing voice.
Yeah, Jake and I we had a long conversation just randomly one night. Wanted to see if I wanted to chat, so I gave him a ring, and then we ended up chatting for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, just BSing about Cube. So
Nice.
I'm glad he's could join us.
So there's March of Otherworldly Light, which I'm like medium on. March of Reckless Joy, however, I'm much higher on, especially as we talk about the additional cost. So Reckless Joy says, exile the top X cards of your library. You may play up to 2 of those cards until your end of your next turn. So kind of like Light Up the Stage, right? Except instant speed.
Right.
However, so like you pay 2 in a red and you cast Light Up the Stage for full value, for full mana cost at instant speed. However, you can exile a red spell and pay 1 mana and then you get the same effect. Now, why I like this so much is that you can just discard 2 cards and draw 2 cards. And obviously the other one doesn't get discarded, it gets exiled, but you still get kind of the same. You get like, you're not down a card.
Right. You look at it as like, I'm getting rid of maybe 2 red cards that I don't need. I'm going to see 4 potentially other cards from it. So, and you're going to get to play at least 2 of those. So
yeah,
this feels less like a feel bad than the removal spell.
Yeah, well, I think just the play, you get your money's worth for like an acceptable rate because we've had an analog to this card already, right? It's at instant speed, so that's favorable, just by nature of being faster, and the exile clause feels less punishing because, like, red specifically is, you know, you might have Jackal Pups in your hand when you need burn, or you might have bolts in your hand when you need something else. I don't know when the fuck you'd ever not need a lightning bolt, but I guess it happens. So there's play to this card that like offsets the alternate cost, which I think this just plays better, and I'm actually pretty excited to try this card.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it fits red very well. It's something that feels less of a burden in red.
Yeah. And that's to say nothing of like, let's say you're like playing, I don't know, some kind of combo deck in Cube, like a blue-red deck that has like Pestermite and Splinter Twin or whatever, and you just like are really good at playing the Drago game with Remand and whatever, and like you can just like cast this for 7 or 8 and just look for your combo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or
and maybe the additional cost won't come into play that often. Maybe you still get a lot of value for it if you just paying X.
Yeah.
At the end of turn. So.
Or you can just like cast this for 8, look for sneak attack and a giant creature. I mean, actually, that doesn't work. I don't know. There's situations where this can come up. Maybe I'm bad at imagining them, but
yeah, and it also says play, so you can if you need a land, you can get a land from it as well.
Sure. March of the Death Ray is sweet for finding that combo piece Red hasn't been able to dig through time before. Yeah. Why are you calling it Death Ray? Reckless Joy, Tomato? Kind of. Yeah, except not really. Okay. So, let's move on. I don't want to spend too much time on anything. So, Mech Titan Core, I don't think this is going to get anywhere. It's cute. It's Voltron, but...
I think I don't know.
What?
Not to dig deep to it, but oh, never mind. You have to remove artifact creatures. Okay.
You
I was
do.
thinking you could. I was thinking you could remove like treasure tokens or something.
That would be
But,
cool.
yeah, I think that has a lot of text that needs more of the dreamy aspect of it than practical cube.
Yeah, like I think this card is really cool. I just don't think it's like a cube thing. That
Yeah.
at least in my like, there's like I'm sure like Istical might watch this at some point and be like, I'm trying Mech Titan Core because all my entire cube is colorless or an artifact creatures and whatever, and that's awesome, you know. But you'll know when you want this if you want it, but otherwise there's a lot of hoops to jump through for not that big of a payoff. The other lands, there's not much I want to say to them in terms of cube playability. However, like, I guess it's good to talk quickly about, like, some people have called this like slot equity, but like the cost of putting utility lands in your cube and how much they impact your decks and your drafting versus like how tight you are in slots and like what the card does for Lenuka. What if it wasn't a cube called the Artifact Cube? What if everything was an artifact? Then it would definitely be better. So Lenuka, one of our friends, Istical, has a cube called the Devoid Cube, and it is basically all color. It's all colorless cards. So, wait, is that David?
Yeah.
Hey! Oh my God! Hey, David! What's up, dude? I'm like, Lenuka, first time viewer, first time chatter. You're familiar? Yeah, like David, Daniel's like he's a New Yorker, and we've cubed before, and we've talked about this stuff, and yeah. What, like the Devoid, like the waste and stuff you're talking about?
Yeah, because I think that'd be a cool spotlight cube to do, but because of limitations to Moto, I don't think it's a possibility.
You were so nice to me before you knew who I was. Who's that directed towards? Is it me, or is it you? Probably to me. I don't know. Yeah. Oh, me. Oh, well, you know what, man? What was I explaining to you?
Oh, I think because you saw him.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You're like, well, there's this guy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, David, he would totally just make that 540 for MTGO. I'm sure you could talk to him and he could easily bulk that thing up. I mean, maybe not easily, but he'd be really happy to.
But you also have to draft lands in that cube as well.
You do have to draft lands, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's like a calculation you have to make for that. They're similar, yeah. There's a different draft experience, like he was just pointing out, but I did. I didn't want to go too deep into the word hypergeometric, as in I didn't want to say it. I don't know. It's like a scary word for people in the cube community. You start talking about ASFAN and hypergeometric calculations, and people start they get kind of like averse to it physically or viscerally. It's funny. So I try not to say it too much, but yeah. Well, anything I can do to make the conversation more digestible to you, David, I'm happy to do that. So I heard through the grapevine, aka my lovely co-host here, that you had a hand in the design of some of these cards, and that's kind of exciting because I have to say, buddy, like, I am really fucking hyped for these cards. I think, dude, the power level is like, it is chef's kiss, man. Like, the Planeswalkers are amazing. The lands are fantastic. Boseiju is fucked up, buddy. I don't know if you had any hand in that. Boseiju is a messed up Magic card. Yeah, I love obviously the flavor is great. I'm really excited about this. I think I said this to you when I met you. Okay. Well, they're messed up. The Boseiju is messed up, and the Planeswalkers are awesome. That's fair. That's fair. But come on, I mean, they're Planeswalkers. You could play them in Cube too. Come on. Anyway, the blue land is interesting. So, like, slot equity is something that, like, people will say, I don't have space for this. I understand. I was at a point where I had, like, a ton of utility lands on my cube, just testing out everything from Barbarian Ring to Encephalid Coliseum to Windburst Heights and, what's the green one called? Mosswort Bridge and like, Cabal Pit. Only a couple of them stayed, but like a lot of them were very similar to just MDFCs, where like they were played as a land or they were played as like a spell, kind of. So that was an interesting process that allows me to look at a card like this now and say, yeah, it's cool. Like, you pay 4 mana to like bounce something, but like I don't think that's worth a slot in my cube, for instance. Even though I get an untapped blue source for my troubles. Hold on, I gotta catch up, man. I make stuff like Spirit Sisters Call and such, most of you haven't seen yet. The lands are wildly powerful. One of the cards I made that you've seen so far is probably Spirited. You made Spirited Companion? Oh my god, dude, are you fucking kidding me? I was so happy to see that card. Like, it goes along with the change y'all are doing with white, right? Where you're allowing like small creature cantripy stuff, which I think is great. And you just made a white Elvish Visionary, but it's also an enchantment. I just think it's like an elegant design. I think it's perfect, and I'm really happy to see that. No, but that doesn't matter if it's not a hard design. It's just it's clean, and I like that. I like clean design. I like cards like that. Enormous Energy Blade is, I mean, come on. You guys have had like, that had to have been just like a lot of laughs making that card. It's just funny. I know you had the white. Yeah, the white velocity change was about 3 years ago. I remember when Ari started talking about it, and okay, well, I don't want any spoilers here, as much as you might be itching to talk about them. Oh, Jake, dude, Enormous Energy Blade it's just funny. Like, it's not good, but it tells a story. Oh, Ari was also on the design team. That's cool. I've heard Ari is able to contribute a lot to, like, open-ended discussions about design. The difference between good and strong. Okay. It's obviously a matter of vocabulary, so I'm just curious. If you could elaborate a little bit on good versus strong. Is Skullclamp strong? Yes. Is it good? Okay. So good means gameplay. Good means fun. Good means like what it does to the game and like how engaging it is as a card, right? Like,
It's funny he uses Skull Clamp. I don't know. I think Skull Clamp did something to McDarby.
yeah.
He's he's against Skull Clamp.
McDarby is against Skull Clamp. Just like
Yes.
in principle, the card Skull Clamp. Well, the card is completely unbalanced and is considered a egregious design mistake and is banned from almost every constructed format in Magic. So yeah, I think I'm against it too. I don't think it's good game design. I don't think it's a good play experience. Is it in my EDH deck? You bet your fucking ass it is. But like, I don't think that card. Like, I don't think it's a strong card or something to hold up on a pillar. And I think most people would agree. Yeah, exactly. Who cares? It's a miserable card. Exactly. Like, nobody's having fun. Maybe you are because you're drawing a gazillion cards. But like, it's the game becomes like kind of warps around it, and it's like low opportunity cost. There's nothing good that comes out of it. Yeah. In Vintage Cube, who gives a shit? Everyone's doing a bunch of trying to do something so ridiculous that it doesn't matter. It's like, okay, you're skull clamping. I am casting Paradoxical Outcome and drawing 20 cards, and this person over here is, putting Gristlebrand into play in turn 1, and, sure, whatever. You skull clamping sounds fair to me. All right. Jeez, I'm sure I'm getting distracted here, David.
Back on spoilers. What do you think about ninjutsu?
I like ninjutsu. I think it's got some like issues as a mechanic because you're taking a tempo loss on board by like spending mana to like put a creature in your play by bouncing your own creature. And like it's easily disruptible because they can just kill your creature before it triggers. I was gonna say procs, but I'm not playing Storybook Brawl right now. And so like, I think it's like a really like fun place to play Magic with ninjutsu. I think there's some really push ninjutsu stuff in here. Specifically for the pauper one, the 2/1.
Mm-hmm.
Is tempo loss a bad thing? Not necessarily, no. It's like ninjutsu is like makes you very vulnerable if in an environment that's run by removal spells. Right? Like Fallen Shinobi is a card that loses a lot of value if there's a lot of ways to interact with it. Even though like some people herald it as a really powerful card. It just does something really big and fun and juicy and flashy when it hits. But like it's very easily disruptible. Most people just play Fallen Shinobi in environments where there's not a lot of removal. Ninjas are super vulnerable. But ninjas are also very come out of nowhere.
Well, I think anything that complicates the attack step is exciting for me.
It is exciting for you?
Yes.
Yeah, well that's where a lot of the drama in Magic is.
Do I block? Do I not block?
Yeah, that's a lot of the tension and drama in Magic comes out of the combat step, I think.
Which I feel...
Go ahead.
I don't know, it feels like Wizards kind of gotten away from that. Because there's just so much text on cards now. But when you get down to just attacking, combat tricks, blocking and attacking decisions, those are all parts of the game that I miss and enjoy.
I think those are like the bread and butter gameplay experience of Limited, right?
Right.
Yeah. So what I hear is that like the combat centric aspect of Limited is really fun, which I agree. It's one of my favorite ways to play Magic. The tension
also,
is in gameplay.
I always like Returning cards for value, right? So the blue black 1/1, draws a card, like stuff like that. That's always fun to build around and to do.
Yeah, and it's a lot. I'm not saying, look, please don't misunderstand me. I love ninjutsu. I think it's really fun. I'm just pointing out the vulnerabilities of it.
Right.
But I tend to play cubes that have a ton of removal spells in them. So, I have a harder time like wanting to play those cards. But I also have cubes where ninjutsu is a lot better because there's a lot less points of interaction for it. And I do think the making the combat step more fun with ninjutsu is great. I don't mind. So maybe I'm in the minority, David, but I don't mind complexity creep but there's a weird balance, right, where like the deans were like almost unreadable in that like it was a comprehension problem and not an application problem. It was like you like had to read all this stuff, but like nothing. It wasn't like nothing was really like that. It wasn't that like. It was just hard to comprehend what you had to do with the cards, mechanically or otherwise. Whereas like ninjutsu, to me, maybe it's because I played with it more, but it's a lot more grokkable to me somehow. Let's not bring up companions, please. I still stand by this, David. I still think Lurrus would be a totally fine card of companion. If you could just never companion it, people would still play it in Constructed. I'll just leave that there. I'm just gonna like leave that right there. Okay, let me do some quick hits here. I adore that y'all made a 3-mana 3/3 Goblin Welder. I like that it's balanced so that it doesn't get equal mana value. I like that it gains haste. It's just a really cute card. I think it's really fun. I think this is a Live the Dream card, personally. I would love if you just leaned heavier into artifacts and just did like more of this, like allowed a card like this to shine. That'd be cool. I'm not saying you have to play with Goblin Welder, but that's a cool card.
Not yet, Jake.
No, we didn't. I was hoping this wasn't going to take too long to go through the set, but apparently we're having a good time just talking about shit. It is! It is! It's very artifacty, which I'm happy about. I've been feeling a lot of this year is going to be artifacty. Because we have Dominaria stuff coming up in the Brothers' War. Yeah, exactly. See? Yes. We're right there together. This is good practice for Thursday. I got to get my wittiness up to snuff.
Derek, hopefully one day you'll get the draft. My paper version of the Dream Cube is red, white is currently artifacts.
Where are you located? Like
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin? Okay.
Yeah.
So when I make my pilgrimage out to Wisconsin, I'll definitely
keep on, hopefully at least.
Jake, you're not rushing me. Don't worry, bud. Do not worry. Also, I guess it's time for me to. I will say now that we have a couple more people hanging out. I'll remind everybody that I am going to be doing coverage for the first time in my life of a Magic tournament on Thursday. I was asked by a member of the MPL who is doing a Vintage Cube Invitational like series, a single elimination tournament that will be broadcast on Twitch. This is the second one that he's done, and his Twitter name is Alpha Frog. His name is Gavin Thompson, and he asked me to help do coverage, mostly because I missed the deadline on being able to participate. But he needed somebody in the coverage booth, and we've chatted a lot, and I don't know. He offered it to me, and I'm taking it, and I've never done it before, and I'm kind of nervous and kind of excited, and I hope y'all will tune in. It's going to be Thursday night. Pacific time, it's going to be like 4, EST 7. I'll probably be on for a couple hours. So, yeah. I don't really know what else to say. I'm really looking forward to it. I don't know. I think I'm going to be...
Is it going to be like play-by-play
or color?
Side? Yeah, the color side.
They said they don't. They said they want to just be a little looser and more like chill and conversational. So I brought it up in the production meeting, and they said that, dude, I am all about the senior discount. I like showing up early. They said that they didn't prefer. They preferred not to do rolls. So we'll see how that goes.
Gotcha. Is that going to be the draft and games, or both?
Yeah, it's going to be the draft, backup draft, 2 single elim matches, and then they redraft. So there's going to be 3 pods. Single elimination, then they have a winner. And then I think the winners are going to play, after like they get like 8 winners, they'll probably do a pod of winners. I think that's how they're going to do it, but he'll probably talk more about that on Thursday.
So are you just going to, is your role going to be to criticize when a person does not take the land?
Sure. Oh, you'll hear my stance. I'll be like, why did they take the Polluta Delta? Yeah. It's David, they're gonna draft on MTGA Draft, and then they're gonna upload their decks onto MTG Melee so we can look at them, and then they're gonna play using card hoarder accounts on Magic Online. Yeah. I am not covering solos. So Gavin is Alpha Frog is going to be like the mainstay, and then I'm going to be doing the first half, and then Jarvis Yu is going to be doing the second half. We might go back and forth a little bit, but Gavin said he I'm gonna run out of like brain juice sometime around like 11 if I was to do the whole thing. So I'd rather, and like I think Jarvis should probably do the top 8. You know, he's like a much bigger name, obviously. So having him at the end would be better. So I can do like the first half of it or whatever. So that'll be my contribution. But I'll be with Gavin, and then Jarvis will be with Gavin afterward. So, yeah. And Anurag Das is doing the production. He may or may not be talking. I think he might just be all back of house, but it's a good team of people. Speaking of a good team of people, let's talk about Tameshi, Reality Architect. I gotta work on my segue. I gotta work on my segue. So I have some people telling me this card is crazy good, and I just want to talk this out a little bit. Tameshi says it's a 3-mana 2/3, so Herloon Minotaur, baby. There's no... is there a frog in Alpha? There's a troll. There's a bird. There's a gargoyle. There's a dinosaur. But there's no frog.
Well, shout out to Chubtoad.
Shout out to Chubtoad. Yeah. The big toad on campus. And then we got Tatsunari riding the toad. Anyway, let's go back to the Moonfolk. So, by the way, first of all, congrats on getting the Moonfolk stuff right. Returning lands. Whenever one or more non-creature permanents are returned to hand, draw a card. So that is symmetrical. God damn it, Jake. It's like we don't even know each other, but you're starting to get to understand me. So basically, like, you can pay X and a white, bounce a land you control, and reanimate an artifact or enchantment in your graveyard, which I think is incredibly powerful, but very, very narrow. So I don't really know, like, if I could imagine, like, let's say I put it in my cube, my main cube, it would probably be, the interaction would probably be like, pay a white, return a dual land, and then bring back a Mishra's Bauble onto the battlefield. And then just like crack it and like draw a card off that and then crack it and draw another card. So you're like recycling your land drop, and then you're able to like draw 2 extra cards a turn, which is incredibly powerful as an ability for card advantage.
Yeah, this feels much more of a commander card, right?
I think so.
And something you would see in a cube environment. Also, rest in peace, Hannah Ship's Navigator. Like, just never make it into a cube when this is now.
Well, this is now present.
A card.
Yeah, or if you needed both, you could just play both if you really need to push the archetype, right? You just got to target Urza Saga? Yeah, I know. But why would anybody play Urza Saga when everyone's just going to play Boseiju? Yeah, I mean, that's certainly, that's one of the big interactions with this, right?
What if the dream is tap Delirium Academy, add a ton of mana, bounce it, play it again, add a bunch more mana?
Yeah, so target your Darksteel Citadel. You gotta really put the pieces together here. Yeah, you might be right. This might be more commander focused, but I don't know. I'm still gonna test this card because of the, especially if I lean more into artifacts as a synergy archetype. I have more reason to play this because I have more 1 and 0 cost artifacts in the cube. Because to me, the key is like cheap artifacts. Obviously, David said Urza Saga is a great example. And obviously, it being balanced by like not being able to develop more land drops. I don't know. If you're playing a lot of cheap spells in your cube anyway, that becomes less of a problem. But still, you start to feel that pinch eventually. Yeah.
You could return artifact lands from your graveyard as well. I don't know how relevant that is.
It's possible it hits standard, yeah. You have to see what standard looks like. So this card is pretty cool. Tatsunari. Hey, this guy over here. He constructive. Tatsunari, 3 mana, 3/3. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you get, it says cast, so that Urza Saga doesn't work. You get to create a 3/3. And then but having the 3/3, the token will allow you to drain whenever you cast enchantment. So like this card, it might seem commandery, but if y'all keep pushing enchantments and giving me cards like this to play, I'm going to want to actually play enchantments like I would want to play artifacts. Because like this is this becomes 2 3/3s for 3 mana, and one of them drains, and you can give them both evasion. I don't know. I think that's incredibly powerful. So long as we can cast enchantments that matter. So
what's the best black enchantment that's already in the cube?
Deadweight? I don't know. Something like that? I don't know. I can't really think about it. Like if I was just thinking like like a very efficient thing like that.
It just feels weird that this card's black. I don't know.
Why? Because it cares about enchantments?
Right, right.
Recurring Nightmare. Because you can like
Yep, there we
hit
go.
the token of Recurring Nightmare, cast it, make the token, sack the token, bring something back, cast it again, get the 3/3 again.
Like, in before this card appears in the next Vintage Cube run.
Bam. Two and a black cards forever. Yeah. There's a lot of good ones. Jeez, we're taking forever on these cards. Ooh. Should we take a break and look at your cube?
Yeah.
I kind of need a little bit of a
Whatever.
break. I'm having new
do
card.
it.
I'm having Kamigawa spoiler season overload. So many good cards. Ugh. No, you are not distracting. Believe me. You guys have been great people in the chat. Seriously, I love it. Honestly, like, Devoid Cube is the main attraction. I mean, it's definitely one of the big attractions. It's the only reason I got him on the show. If you want me to be completely forthcoming with you all.
Yeah, I bugged him enough. Hey, please look at this cube.
Can you please finally put this cube, talk about this cube with me? All right. So we got him on here because he wants me to talk about a little bit with him about stop apologizing, Jake. It's cool. And you know what? Your apologies are also distractions, and I will have none of it.
I think that was the goal.
Yeah, it's definitely the goal. Attraction, distraction. Really, they're the same picture. Okay, Middle School Cube. Pre-modern. Middle School Cube is a format that spans Magic the Gathering sets from 1995, 4th edition, through 2003. Before the redesign of card frames that were introduced with Mirrodin block and 8th edition. How do you feel? I mean, I would also draft Lightning Angel in this cube, so, you know. What's not to love about Lightning Angel? It's Mantis Rider with extra steps. How do you feel about this following statement? Because I've had some people make middle school, pre-modern, old border kind of cubes. I've been in that space a lot over the years. And somebody actually proposed the idea that everything before Zendikar should be considered old border cube. Because they feel like the design philosophy in Magic changed with the more towards modern Magic with the release of Zendikar. Or you could say that Lorwyn was actually the beginning. Because of the advent of Planeswalkers.
Yeah. I could see Lorwyn being that pivot point. I almost say Ravnica, but even Ravnica still felt closer to middle school than I'd say where Lorwyn starts.
Yeah. Like you could make it. I'm not saying you should change this. I'm just like, this is a thought experiment.
No.
You could argue that pre-plane all the way up to Planeswalker starting is a place, right?
Right.
I mean, but like Jake, it's you could almost say like, you know, when did the design philosophy start to feel like modern Magic? And Zendikar is a good place to point to. Lorwyn is a good place to point to for obvious reasons. David says Zendikar is where I started playing. Compatible Wombat. Hello. I'm really happy, Wombat, that you decided to join after I smashed you in Storybook Brawl last night. We went up against each other and I Merlined the shit out of him, and it was great. I'm just gonna milk that for as long as I can, Wombat. I hope you don't mind. Anyway, going back, I just wanted to get your if you how you felt about that. Like Eternal Central's old school formats, it is an experimental build your own format, utilizing what we feel are the best rules and celebrates the classic look and feel of the game that drew in so many young wizards. Notable rules and differences in the modern era of Magic. Additionally, there are a few important rules and rules differences between middle school and the way modern Magic has been mutated. Mana burn happens. Oof. Damage uses the stack. Oof. Do you play like Mog Fanatic and stuff in this cube?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm more playing Mog Fanatic. Those are.
David says design shifted a lot with original Ravnica. It was the start of Morrow's 6-year plan. I mean, Morrow had that podcast, his Drive to Work, where he talked about like big design shifts in R&D, and Ravnica was a huge one, just structurally speaking, right? Like the concept of Ravnica, the concept of guilds, how you apply mechanical differences between everything, like setting up the structure of the block. Like that was like a huge design, progressive design. I mean, yeah, there's been a lot of them. I remember even talking about like Mirage, being like it was the first set designed with limited in mind specifically. Okay. Anyway, I'm just gonna blame it. Every time I get distracted, I'm just gonna blame it on Jake. 6th edition style. Combat phase can be mapped in a longer form like this. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of a rough explanation of
combat. What combat is? Okay.
Damage on the stack. Right.
With that out of the way, let's take a look at the list. Oh boy.
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
Roll. Well, I broke away from a Jake by quitting Magic because I didn't want to play against Disciple of the Vault like so many other people. Actually, I went to college and I just sold all my cards. That's really what happened. But I can blame it on Mirrodin Darksteel. So you see the new Saga creatures as suspend. That is an interesting way to look at them. And I don't disagree with you. It's like everything's an Aeon Chronicler. Okay. So, what is it that we need to talk about? Give me a little overview of what we want to go over here.
Short form is where the overall goal is for the cube, and I know we've kind of talked about that behind the scenes of playability versus the mat theme and feel.
Right. We talked about prioritizing one or the other in like an ultimate sense, like a big picture sense.
Right.
Yeah.
So as the list is currently set up, it's more of the lower powered feel to it, emphasizing cards of that era. So I marked the orange. Anything marked in orange is kind of the higher level, kind of the outliers of power. And I have a maybe board, which I guess you can't see because you're not the owner of the cube. So I'm just gonna give you that just to show there's some cards I'm debating whether they should be in or not.
Wow, you've actually excluded Treachery just because it would be one of the best cards in the cube. I think Future Sight is probably one of the top cards in the cube too.
There are some 2-card combos as well.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the purple boxes. So it's like, is that stuff fair. Um, it was, combos of the era,
Yeah.
which I think are
Illusions donate.
interesting,
Yeah.
but they're terrible on their own. So
Yeah.
so really, I'm just trying to,
Go ahead.
if somebody who played during this time, being able to open packs and get to see the cards again and kind of just evoke that feeling of when they started playing, um, is where I'm trying to fall, but still be fun, still be balanced, and uh, have some replayability. Um, as far as it's like where it fits in my cube lineup is, so I've got my 93-94 cube, which is everything pre fourth edition.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got the Live the Dream cube, which is everything kind of now. So this kind of fits in the middle. So we're really just trying to figure out, and just make sure it's, fun. Everything's in there. Is not nothing that stands out as far as power level, um, or overpowered or underpowered. Of course, white is like the most difficult color to balance compared to the other ones. White was the only color that has a tribal theme to it, with soldiers. So you got a lot of synergies there.
Yep.
Now I know this era there was like a tribe in each color, but I didn't want it to be turned into a tribal cube or make the drafts feel too on rails or linear. And there's still a balance of control, mid-range, aggro. So I feel like you're still able to do a variety of different things.
Yeah.
And I sent over through Discord the maybe board of stuff that it's mostly like higher powered cards that I could put in, but I think if I were to just go in on all of those, then it would just feel like a bad vintage or legacy cube.
Well, it would be
Also,
a vintage or legacy cube that yeah, pour one out for spawning pool. Seriously.
I also added the enemy fetch land since they made old frame versions, to improve the mana base.
Yes.
But I did not want to add the retro frame cards that they've also released, just because I feel like those don't really fit this era of Magic.
Yeah, I understand. The lands were done purely to make the mana base better, which is different than like putting in like Urza Lord High Artificer or something. Literally, show Urza this cube. Yeah, and so my feedback. So before we were talking about this cube a couple weeks ago, and my initial feedback to you was like talking about theme versus gameplay, and like prioritizing one over the other. And this was like something just to like quickly go over it with people in the chat too. This is like something that I've learned just over the last couple of years, like in defining like the goals of an environment. For cube, often I find there's a balance between how important the theme of the cube needs to be resonant during the draft and during the gameplay, and how much, or during the draft and the games, and then how much the actual gameplay and metagame matters. And it's not to say that one of them needs to be. It's not. The decision is not made in absolute terms. Where like, if I choose theme, gameplay doesn't matter. If I choose gameplay, theme doesn't matter. But like, in just helping to guide your decision making on how do I evaluate cards in the context of what I'm trying to do with the cube, it can be helpful to like say, yeah, you know what, I do want to play Gaia's Cradle in this cube, even though it's kind of broken, because I just want the feeling of playing with Gaia's Cradle. I think that there's a lot of value to be gained there and a lot of good stories to be made by playing with that card. Versus like,
Right.
I don't want to play with Gaia's Cradle because it makes multiple mana for one, and that's fucked up, and it's going to make green base decks or just heavy color, like just powering out expensive shit, and make it largely in favor of playing green decks. Whenever you take it, it's an automatic first pick, blah, 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 blah. And like, both of these things are equally valid. And like, my initial point to you was just stand on the side of one and don't worry too much about it. Just like, go with your gut and tell me and figure out which one is like slightly more important. Yeah, we can do a mock draft. But that anyway, I just want to set the stage a little bit that this was my feedback for him originally.
Right. I think that's a really valid point, especially when you have a design constraint or limitation.
Which
how
is
much do you want to lean into it?
Mm-hmm.
And I think like even Gaia's Cradle is a perfect example. It's like, yeah, that card was busted back in the day. It's still busted. But also, you know, it's something that I would like to open and play with in this cube. But I just don't want it to overpower. Like, I don't want it to invalidate like a whole archetype or whatnot, and because it's just not fun gameplay.
Yeah.
So just trying to find the balance of where that line is. That's why I have some cards in here that I feel like are very strong, but wouldn't create that miserable gameplay.
We have a question in the chat from someone named Linuka. Linuka? I don't know. I can't really pronounce things that aren't English.
The new chatter.
Yeah, the new chatter tonight. They were wondering if coalition victory was something that you think people could win with in the cube. What's your response to that?
It says you win the game on the card, so obviously you can win with it, right?
Ooh, very good counterpoint. Excellent. Excellent.
And like I've always said in our many cube design arguments, there's going to be cards that always go 15.
There's always what?
There's always cards that are going to go 15th.
Always. No, of course. Always.
But there's always that one person that opens this and they're like, you know what? Today is the day.
We're going to make this happen.
So yes, coalition victory will be in the cube. And I did win an F&M with coalition victory one time.
That's hilarious. In Invasion?
No, it was when it was time shifted in Time Spiral.
Incredible. That's very good. I like that. Are we concerned that the 5-color player will scoop up all the fixing? I have no idea. This brings me to my next point. I've talked about this on the show before, but my general feeling about like questions about like that are going to be, you have to. That's like something that can't be answered through theory crafting. That's something that like we can make like a small argument about whether or not that's true, but like ultimately you just have to play with the cube to answer that kind of question. Like I'm a huge proponent of like, I remember you and I were talking about, you know, you were saying like before I get a paper version, I want to make sure that I'm like I have the list in a good like in a in a good place, and my kind of attitude was like, just build it, just play it, like, don't overthink it. Like we can nitpick a little bit about it, you know, but I'm I'm a huge proponent of just like shuffling it up and just starting to play and just feeling it out. So like to go back to Wombat's question, just am I worried?
That would be very, very expensive.
Well, if you're going for all foils and shit, yeah, and if you don't own a Mox Diamond and a Metal Worker and all that stuff, yeah, it can get really expensive. There's not too much in here that's valuable, right? Unless you're going for ultra pimp versions, which I'm assuming you are. I mean,
I would. It would be. It'd be the rule. I would actually have 0 foils in this cube because one, old border foils are beautiful, and I would want them all, but they are also very expensive.
They really are, aren't they?
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing too expensive. Obviously, Mox Diamond.
Yeah.
Survival. All the orange ones, actually. All the orange cards.
Yeah. Except Armageddon. You can get that pretty cheap.
Yeah. No.
So, do we have anything specific? Like, so you were saying, just like, are there anything? Did you want to know anything like, just to zero in on a couple things, like, to discuss power level of certain cards or colors or anything? Because like, just scanning through the list, I really like that you went tribal with white. I think soldiers is like a really good call. And I like the cards that lean into attacking and blocking. I think that makes...
Right.
That shores up White's weakness in old border cubes, making combat matter. So, generally I think like leaning into that, it would be more fun than just playing like, you know, Armageddons and Wrath of Gods and whatever, balance and stuff. Oh no, balance wouldn't be in this cube. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right. No, I just, you can't like get a good feel with it just looking at a spreadsheet, but mainly I guess the things. Were you able to see the maybe board?
I downloaded it. Let me pull it up.
Put that up. Those are kind of the space of, do I lean more into more powerful cards of the era, or
where are you? I just downloaded you. Here it is.
Unknown?
Here it is.
Yeah.
Alright.
There was also possibility for green-white enchantress, but that's kind of a more linear archetype as well. Some of the higher power cards like Vampiric Tutor, all the blue cards, the lands.
All the lands.
Yeah.
Seems like anything that destroys a land.
Yep.
Yeah.
Standstill, upheaval. I tried to see if Storm would be a thing, but
you just cast 2 rituals and cast Mind's Desire for 3. Right? Then you've stormed. Not really.
But it did not look very good with everything else in the cube.
Yeah. Most of this stuff looks not great to me. I like Kamal Pit Fighter a lot. What does Vampiric Dragon do again? That's one that like pings stuff, right?
Yeah, it's 8, so it's red, black, and 6. And it gets the red and the colors to ping, and it gets the singular vampire +1/+1 channel.
Oh, okay. It's just like a big finisher.
Yeah, it's just like a big red black dragon. Yeah. I did put the dragon from Mirage in that searches for a dragon, puts into play, and you can attack with it. It's a 5-mana one.
What color is it?
Zirian of the red. Zirian of the Claw, yeah. So I thought about putting.
I mean, I don't know. I just want to put Shivan Dragon into play with that thing. I forgot that Anarchist is a townsfolk. Okay, so my quick what I like looking that I like here are just like cards like Spirit Link, Sleight of Hand, Kamal Pit Fighter, Psychotog is like fun. Is it too good? Probably not. Is it cool and like nostalgic? Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it win games? Yeah. But it's not like ridiculously powerful.
There's also one more combo, Enduring Renewal, Ornithopter, and a sack outlet like Goblin Bombardment.
That's true.
But just another narrow combo.
Yeah, it's what some of my friends like to call the Rube Goldberg machine.
Right, assemble the pieces.
Even a card like Temporal Aperture is like harmless and like really dirtily.
Yeah.
I like erring on the side of like the like less actively harmful things to the environment. A card like Elephant Guide, like it's probably a little swingy, especially on like a Soltari or something, but I'm less concerned with a card like that than I am with like, you know, or like Ancestral Mask is like a card that I could see being more fun, like Enchantressy kind of stuff.
What about Biorealm?
Isn't this card just like... First of all, isn't this card banned in Commander?
It is.
I love it.
The art is amazing too.
The art is so good. Yes.
Just look into his eyes.
Yep, just look into his eyes. I mean, I don't get excited by trying to resolve an 8-mana sorcery. But maybe that's me. Maybe I just don't dream big enough. I think that may be the problem.
It's okay. You're looking at the land, and I'm looking at the 8-mana sorcery in the pack.
I know, and you know what? We
different
can both
strokes for different folks.
Exactly. But yeah, if anything, if I could say anything, it would be like, yeah, like the kind of stuff I talked about in here, in the maybe board.
Is more that lower power,
like
fair,
lower to mid power fair stuff. Yeah, because like you can still play like some of these messed up cards for power spikes when everything around it is just like kind of not like harmless, but like normal, especially if you're not, the whole thing is going to get drafted every time, and you know the play group has enough of a tolerance for it. Something like college, therefore I have no little knowledge experience in most of these cards. The Cube's plan is very apparent, and I dig it. That's good.
Yeah, and I think it's easier to start there and remove versus the other way around, where you're just like go all in and you quickly find out it's a toxic,
Yeah.
gameplay.
Yeah.
Maybe I find myself adding stuff later on if things need it.
What you'll probably find, if I could theorize, is the is that like removal heavy, slightly slower decks are probably going to have a really easy time grinding out the small to middle sized creature strategies. So like the deck that's playing like Complicate and Hymn to Torok and Mutilate and Control Magic is going to have a pretty easy time in here. So I guess I would just be wary of how much actual removal that is being played. If you want the board states to build out, then you can balance the removal around wanting to build out the board a little bit more.
So before we just jump into a quick draft, I know we're running long.
Yeah.
Look at the card Impatience and just give me your impression on that.
Where is it?
It's a red enchantment.
3 mana. At the end of each player's turn, if that player didn't play a spell that turn, Impatience deals 2 damage to Ember. Oh, Jesus. It's like a Punisher card.
But then you gotta read the flavor text.
I'm going to count to 3. 3.
Like, give me your lunch money. Like, the art, the flavor text is a perfect.
It's really funny. It's really the art is just so good too. Wow, what a card! Ah. Ooh, wow. 7th edition art is way better.
Yeah.
Buy it now while it's still $50 foil. Holy crap. There's something I enjoy also about both of the faces being kind of similar.
Look at his other art. Just, I don't know if you've seen his other art. It's pretty crazy.
Kunio Hagio?
Yeah. We're getting distracted, but we'll we should bring it up. Oh, there we go.
It's not.
The only one?
That's the only one.
The only one of his cards. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. There's somebody else that has from like Mirage, Homelands era that looks very similar to his art.
The other art from Destiny, like, it's just so disconnect. Like, I don't even know what. I don't even know what this art has to do with the card. It's funny. It's from that era of like, does the art actually match what's going on in the card? Maybe.
Look at that guy's belt buckle.
I love the belt buckle. I like that it has like fur on the inside of it. Yeah. And you can clearly see all his very consistent yet tattered up battle scars. Like, it's the same scar, but it's all in many places all around the body. I enjoy that. Oh, the 7th edition art is a total chef's kiss. All right, let's do a draft. I remember the last time I drafted a cube like this. Okay.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing about doing a draft via Cube Cobra is the bots just always snap up the lands.
They do. They know better.
So we should definitely first pick Chromat.
Which one? Chromat?
Chromat? Yeah, the 5.
Oh my god. I'm just looking at this lightning bolt and just just my mouth is watering. Lightning Bolt,
very good.
Triskelion is okay. Star Compass is pretty good. Living Death is obviously a pretty cool build around. Chromat is just like, it's kind of a windmill slam, isn't it? It's like planting your foot in the sand.
You definitely commit early there.
How much earlier can you commit? You commit before you sat down at the table. You're like, I'm 5-color. I'm Chromat. Better open it. Better get past.
Jake's on Compass.
Jake's on Compass, which I get. It's a very valid pick.
As the Zurian of the Claw is a good build around to start with if you want to start that. Bolt's probably the best pick, right?
Yeah, Bolt. This looks like the best card in the pack.
Jake thinks Chromat Wheel.
Chromat Wheels if no one else at the table is forcing 5-color, I guess. Even then, they'll probably take Shiv and Oasis. I don't know. There's a lot of directions you can actually go.
Bolt. Compass or Bolt. So hard to turn on Prophetic Bolt. Mm-hmm. That also sets you up for an easy Lightning Angel when it comes around.
It does. There's also Yavimaya Coast.
What about an early going on Braids?
Let me try this. How's this? Is this better? Jake? Braids is a cool build around. So for me, I'm either like, I'm more apt to like wait and see what's coming my way than commit early. So I'm like a lot more hesitant to just slam a card like Braids.
Strategy.
Yeah. That's why I generally like taking lands. Could still use some more zooming in. Do you need glasses? Jake? Are you okay? Is this better? I hope this is better. Oh, not a problem. I'm really happy to make your experience comfortable.
Yeah, I'm like, I have such blinders on for gold cards because there's.
Well, good. Then we're taking Prophetic Bolt.
Okay.
Ooh, Counterspell. Ooh, Mana War. Ooh, Wonder. Wild Growth. Miscalculation. Hymn to Torah. Yeah, well. I guess we're taking Lightning Angel. Coalition Victory? No, honestly.
Only pack one, pick one.
I know, if only. We have to live up to the dream here. Oh god, Sky Diamond or Hammer? Hammer is just.
Also Urza's Rage too.
There is an Urza's Rage, yeah. It might actually be better. Sky Diamond's so good though.
Yeah, I like Sky Diamond.
I mean, I'll wheel one of the burn spells. Let's take the diamond. Ooh, Mana Vault. Alright, give me that Magpie. I'll take that. Ooh, Fire Diamond. We got there. What the hell, Browbeat?
Play Absorb too.
Yeah.
We're not white yet.
That's what I was thinking. I'll take Dissipate. Oh, the Chromat Wield. I'm so sorry.
The land wheel too.
The Land Wheel too, yeah.
Oh,
Patience.
man,
It's actually a good card against me. Well, maybe if I take Mana War, I can just bounce. Mana War Pandemonium. Is that a combo? Not playing that. Alright, I got the Rage back. Got the Rage back. That I'm happy with. No lands though. Whenever you or a permanent you control is a target of a spell or ability controlled by one of your opponents, you may draw a card. And if it is enchanted, you may draw another card. That's funny. That's really funny. Clone is medium. Seal of Fire is pretty good. There's a lot of good.
Seal. Legionnaire could be good, even though it's probably hard to cast right now.
Yeah, it's probably pretty hard to cast. I'll take Seal.
Yeah.
Ooh, Merfolk Looter. Wheel Fiery Temper. I love me a Merfolk Looter.
Yeah, that's the thing. Stick once Merfolk Looter.
Could just complete the trifecta and take Marble Diamond. I exclude a lot, actually.
Oh, the red creatures.
Yeah, it's okay. They're creatures. This is a middle school cube. Ooh, Anarchist.
Right. Spells.
Could take Fairy Conclave as well, but I like Anarchist just because of the amount of spells I have. And oh my lord! What is going on here? You slam Miscalc. I'm slamming Counterspell. Oh my god, Morphling is pretty sick. Morphling just gives me like the feeling of inevitability. Like none of these other cards do. And because there's so many of them, I'll just wheel something. I could also take Wildfire, but I only have 3 rocks, and I passed up on like a couple, so let me just take the win condition. Complicate, busted. Opt, busted.
Ooh.
Arcanus. God, is it so for me? It's Arcanus, Complicate, or Opt. As good as Repulse is, Arcanus is nuts. Like, makes me feel bad that I even took Morphling. Complicate is basically Cryptic Command. Opt is pretty good, but not amazing. I'm just gonna take Arcanus.
Yeah. You probably will one of those blue spells.
Yeah. Let's take Fire Slinger. Stroke. If exclude. I have Magpie. I have Anarchist. Prophetic Bolt. I don't really have a lot of draw. This doesn't seem like a fair card. Maybe it is. I don't know. Fire Slinger is so good.
Yeah, I like Fire Slinger. It's an early play.
Probe and just like find a black source.
Yep.
Yeah, probably. Rain doesn't really work because I don't have a lot of permanents. Like a lot of creatures. I'm not probably getting there on the white splash. But I'm not also playing Stormscape Battle Mage either. So maybe I just take Rain.
Maybe if you get a black source, maybe you play Stormscape.
Alright, we got the Fiery Temper for the Merfolk Looter, so that's good. We'll take Reckless Charge. Just put in the sideboard. Put this in the sideboard. Wow. Sage Owl or Rolling Thunder?
I like Rolling Thunder.
Rolling Thunder, yeah.
You play it early and then get it back with
I'll just have like a very robust sweeper plan.
Oh man. Just opening up Spiritmonger Pack 3.
I know, so sad. And Wild Mongrel.
A polluted delta. There's your
Yeah,
black source.
there's my black source for my
I don't
probe.
know if you need.
That actually might just be good enough. I don't really need Quicksilver Dragon, so yeah, let's just take the land. Ooh, sleight of hand. Wait, this was in your
Mana
maybe
leak.
board. It was also mana leak. Yeah, I think it's
No,
mana
it
leak.
was a different. What's the other one that's not sleight of hand?
I'm just gonna take mana
I
leak.
think it was in the maybe board.
Incinerate. Ooh. Where's all my lands? I mean, Bribes feels pretty good. I can't Tribal Flames. Drakeling is
Yeah, like bribery.
fine, but I have Sweepers. Let's take Bribery. I mean, dude, Lightning Dragon is sweet, right? Sneaky. I love me an Assault Battery, but... Whole Lightning,
Fireball.
Bolduvian Horde, I love it. Yeah, I'm just taking Fireball. I'm just like looking at the pack. I mean, it's an old border cube. I gotta take Factor Fiction. Volcanic Hammer. Oh my god. Don't need Shiving Dragon.
No.
Yeah, I'm just gonna take Hammer. Ooh, Cephalid Broker sounds pretty good.
Up
Yeah.
Days as well.
Days is okay. I'm a little hesitant. I'm a little hesitant to take Days because I know formats like this usually grind out a little bit.
Yeah.
So like the tempo. Ooh, Coastal Tower. I'll take the Invoker for the sideboard. I'll take Order Migration for the sideboard. And Master Decoy or Mobilization, I mean.
And all these white cards going last.
I know, so sad. Alright. I officially built a deck. I'd be very happy to play this. Like, extremely happy. This.
Feels like a very Derek deck too.
Really?
Yeah. Of course, there should be more lands in it, but the bots are all Derek's as well.
The bots take the lands. What do you want from me? Storm. Trevor's Charm. So I'll probably just like cut one of these. Probably seal. Do I even start probe? $27. Yeah, I'll probably just cut the probe.
Maybe do you main deck Rolling Thunder? Maybe ward in against a multiple creature deck.
Really mad. Really pissed I passed up on Sleight of Hand and Opt and didn't come back, but that's okay. They would have been really good in this deck. Mana War.
You see cutting Fiery Temper just kind of is the worst brain spell.
It's true. I probably just do this. Yeah, because I want to Mana War back my Anarchist. You know, you got to get that full value.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Boom. Solid 2-1. Be happy with it. All right. We're running on 2.5. Talked a little about the middle school cube. Any final words for
No,
on?
I think it's in a good space. Like you said, of course, now is really just playing it, and finding out what really works and doesn't work. But yeah, I guess you see any gold, anything gold that looks out of place.
Not really.
The three color stuff is tricky because of the mana, but
Yeah, but you want to play with the big dragons, so
yep.
they're pretty sweet. I get it. Another one. Jake, listen. It's 11 o'clock at night in New York. Let's talk a little bit more about Kamigawa, and then we'll head out. Because I gotta go to bed. I gotta go to work tomorrow. Normally, I would be asleep by now, but I'm a little tired. But it's okay. I had a nice big cup of tea at 5:30 at work, so I'm okay. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to draft this cube when I come visit Madison. That's what I want to do. But if it's not available, I'll draft the Live the Dream cube in paper or whatever.
Yep. Hopefully all three will be available.
Very nice. All right. Thanks for letting me look at that with you.
I appreciate you sharing some time of your time and the chat's time.
Yeah.
Take a look at it. And I'm always open for more feedback or suggestions. You can reach me at Twitter or just comment in the Cube Cobra blog.
Right. Sounds good. I'm skimming through this just to see if there's anything.
A lot of sagas.
Lot of sagas.
Hold on. Go back up. Burning Slash. I feel like that's going to be Banishing Slash.
Okay.
Sash or Slash?
Banishing Slash.
Slash. There we go.
White sorcery. Destroy up to one target artifact, enchantment, or tapped creature. Then, if you control an artifact and enchantment, create a 2/2 white samurai creature token with vigilance. We've come a long way already from
Divine Gambit.
Divine Gambit. Really happy about that. Only took him a year. This card is okay. Tap creature at sorcerer speed is pretty rough. But because that means you can't use the card proactively to remove a blocker, same way that like Condemn has that drawback too. It's nice that it targets artifacts and enchantments. I think this card is like just on the whole worse than unconditional removal, obviously, but also like I'm playing this because there's an artifact and enchantment situation happening in the cube. So like this might be a card that I see play in a standard cube, for instance, like the arena cube. I think this would be cool. There's always enchantments and artifacts in that cube, at least right now. So I could see it being in
just
that power level.
Replacing another 2 mana value artifact enchantment removal spell, maybe like a disenchant, just because they added on the fact that you could kill a tapped creature as well.
Yeah. You have this trinket text on disenchant now. It becomes a sorcerer speed on balance, and then we have this white casting cost that's a little prohibitive.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that being the case. You get a little bit of upside with your disenchant. Yeah, okay. If you're running disenchant, this is probably like a little bit a little more like flexible of a card, but with a much more difficult casting cost. I think
it's a great draft limited card, right?
Yes, 100%. Killing, attacking, and tapped creatures is something that is very good and limited. There's way more opportunities for that. And also just blowing up sagas and vehicles and stuff. Mm-hmm. And reconfigure creatures.
What do you think of the interaction of flickering a flipped saga creature and getting more saga activations?
I think it's cute. It's a little bit of value. Like a ghostly flicker or like a momentary blink on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool.
Circuit Mender, that was a card I mentioned earlier that has a leave the battlefield trigger, which we don't see very often.
Yeah.
So,
as Wombat just said, it's likely templated this way because of ninjutsu.
Right.
I think this just being a value creature means you're not going to get it as often as you want in the ninjutsu deck. But I like that they templated it this way to get a little bit of additional value off of ninjutsu. I hope there's a little bit more of that in this set. Or like when this creature leaves the battlefield, create a 1/1 token or something.
Yeah.
You know, something like that would be really cool too.
We have another shrine cycle.
Oh, before we talk about the shrine, where's the shrine? There, down there. Enthusiastic Mechonaut is a card I could see being played in cubes. Especially ones that lean heavily on artifacts. Like it's a 2-mana 2/2 flyer.
There's been better versions of that, that still didn't get played.
Like what?
There's just the generic. I think it costs 3. It makes your artifact spells cost less. But granted, that doesn't fly, but it was also easier to cast.
Yeah.
There was the first one that was in Shards block, cost blue and a colorless.
Ethereum Sculptor?
Right.
Yeah. So the reason I like this card is that it's a 2-mana 2/2 flyer.
Right.
Right.
Even that on its own is fine for limited.
Yep. 100%. This card's gonna be a fantastic limited card.
Yes.
Like really, I think this card is really pushy for limited. Because of the interaction with like this kind of stuff, bronze plate, or like all these like discounting the equipment stuff is gonna be really, really busted. Yeah, really cool card.
Plus, it's definitely looking great for limited, just as a jump on arena and draft.
Yep. Can't wait. Really excited to sink my teeth into it. That's Essence Capture, which is really good for modified creatures.
Yep.
As is Generous Visitor. Gloom Shrieker. Someone's talking to me about this. It's a Eternal Witness that it's harder to cast. Has Menace. Can only target permanents. I mean, if you have a graveyard-centric green-black section, surprise, surprise, most people will. If you like having Eternal Witnessy kind of stuff going on, you know, this is another flicker target, and it's like a decent rate, because Eternal Witness is a decent rate, right?
Right.
It's pretty like generic, but like it's just like a tweaked version of Eternal Witness. Also as an enchantment, I guess, for however that's relevant, which seems like it will be. Um. Oh yeah, and we have shrines, as you were saying. Shrines that are now creatures, so they're easier to kill, which is good for the opposing player.
Yes, and note, shrine is not a creature type. There's a brief moment of excitement, people thinking that changelings are now shrines.
So what is it, like a subtype? Like a
It's a subtype of an enchantment, kind of
okay.
like a vehicle is a subtype of artifact.
Okay. So they technically don't have creature types. Right?
Correct.
Interesting.
Correct.
Yeah. It's better gameplay, I think, because you get to play it and then trigger it at end of turn when you have the one. So you get to sequence better instead of like playing it, passing the turn, and then getting your thing when you untap. I think it's better. It's better gameplay, and I like that it balances out that by being a creature, so you can interact with it. It's a good design for limited. It's gonna be. I like that they're uncommon, and there's gonna be one of each, so it'll be interesting to see where these land as individual cards, and then whether or not you want to take multiple shrines. Sorry, I'm yawning. I'm starting to get tired.
There's a new exalted mechanic, technically, kind of.
Yeah, it's attacks by itself matters.
Yep.
It's a weird mechanic, but it's like a battle cruiser mechanic, right? Because we have reconfigure and like equipment stuff, and auras looks like too. So there's gonna be, modified creatures that attack alone. So yeah, we'll see. This is an archetype that I am very, very unsure about. So I'm looking forward to seeing if it plays out well.
Yeah, I mean, even that one has trample, for example, so it kind of incentivizes you to battle cruise it up with it. So it gives it some form of evasion.
Well,
damage, yeah.
Wombat, the thing about that, like Voltron creatures, they're better than Voltron creatures if you're using reconfigure, because the creatures all fall off and become separate creatures again, Which speaks to the power of reconfigure. Yeah, it's way better. It's way better than bestow. I think it's the best version of bestow they've ever done. Yeah, you can keep doing it. And like the card fall, creature dies. It's a creature again. Unequip after combat. It's a creature. It's cool. It's really cool. Speaking of really cool, we have a new Savannah Lions. That's an artifact creature. It's Star Fox. Just in case anybody was wondering.
Right. Fox Pilot.
Fox Pilot, yeah. That's what it is. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I want to bring up for Cube specifically. Reality Heist is going to be a vintage playable card. This card is crazy. This card is cracked. I can't wait to see what people do with this card. It's like dig through time, but for artifacts.
I just sent a meme I saw for Kamigawa.
Yeah, because I saw this today too.
Okay.
It's really
pretty funny.
It's really funny. Here, for everybody wondering here. I don't know if anybody has not seen this. It's very, very good.
Welcome back to Tezzeret.
Welcome back, Bestow.
You have bestow enchantment creatures. They haven't released a land cycle yet, right? Like a dual land.
No, but we're supposedly getting dual lands in the packs.
Okay.
Like, kind of like the GNR guild gates and stuff.
Yeah, because the original Kamigawa cycle, did they have a dual land cycle in that one?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Holstad's not spoiled yet. I believe by Friday it will be. And David said we had some more exciting stuff ahead of us here. What a loser. He just left without saying goodbye. I'm just kidding. He's not a loser. I'm just teasing him.
He's not here to hear it, so.
He's not here to hear it. I'm still oh, they had depletion lands at uncommon. Wow. So I'm gonna tell a quick story. We're kind of like winding down, I guess. Yeah. So I was playing David at Vegas. He had like a blue-black deck. Surprise, surprise. I had 5-color control deck. Surprise, surprise, I guess. And we drafted Aqua's Cube, and it's a vintage cube with conspiracy, so it's like cracked out. And we're playing our game. Let me see if I could like move the camera down a little bit. Can I? Aqua's Cube is really something. I love when he's like, I don't get people yell at me because I'm altering ridiculously expensive cards. What's the problem? And I'm like, there's no problem, just so you're aware. These cards are you're altering cards that are very valuable. So I'm playing against David. There we go. So you can see my desk a little bit. You're not gonna see me. I'll do that thing that people do where they talk with their hands. So it's like his turn 5. I'm tapped out. He untaps. He untaps like this. He draws his card for turn. He like draws his card. He plays a land. And just like sits there for a second, and then he just grabs my deck across the table and goes like this. He goes, here, let me take a look at this for a second. And just starts looking through it like this, just looking through my deck. And I just go like, what the fuck are you doing? And he just looks at me, taps 5 lands, and just slams a bribery on the table. And I was just like, I just burst out laughing. I was not ready for that one. And he's just got this big smile on his face. I just can't wait to do that to somebody. And then I was like laughing, and he's like, I just wanted to see what you do. It was good. It was very, very good. I highly recommend, especially if they're tapped out, not if they have open mana. I would definitely recommend doing the bribery thing. It was very funny.
What did he get?
He got my Gonti. Because I had my Grave Titan in my hand. Alright. I think I'm kind of fried out. I think I can just say a couple things, round it up, and then...
If you, real quick, go back up the, not only the top, sorry, the 1/1 Death Touch Snake for 1.
Sure.
Does that go in your 2-player bar cube?
It could. I have to finish that list. I'm almost done with it. I do need a scorpion for it, so I'll be pretty happy with this one. The Ziploc cube, yeah. Dude, it's gonna happen. I have a couple people just ready to just jam games with me, so I'll make an announcement when that's done. I just keep playing fucking Storybook Brawl. The game is so addicting. We will meet again on the Brawling Grounds, one bet, yes. What did he get with the Ganti? He probably got like... Oh, he got my copy of Damn. And he swept my board. The jerk. He also opposition agented me when I was getting my second land. Or my third land or something like that. It was awful. It was just cruelty. He took all my cards. That's what Blue Black does. It's really good at that. Okay. So we're almost done with Kamigawa spoilers. They're doing a bang up job. There's so much more that I didn't even talk about that we can go over. I'll probably go over it like next week or something, or maybe I'll just round up.
Yeah, maybe review it when the full spoiler comes out.
Yeah, but super excited about this. Super excited about this set, both for limited and cube. Reconfigure is definitely something that's going to be in the bar cube. Maybe even one of these channel cards or something. I don't know. They kind of help with the no counters, no tokens aspect of things. And maybe like battle cruisery stuff is going to be kind of fun with that. I don't know. We'll have to see. Man, this was kind of fun, wasn't it? This was good. Thank you.
Yeah, I enjoyed.
Thank you so much for coming on, man, and just hanging out and talking with me for a couple hours.
Appreciate it. Cool to be opposite instead of typing in chat.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Appreciate taking a look at the middle school cube and offering your insight.
Absolutely, and thanks for offering some like direction and talking points on all the Kamagawa stuff. It was good, and for tolerating Jake and Dave in chat. You know.
Well, to be fair, I was the ones that reminded them to join us, so.
Well, I'm really glad they did.
Right.
I'm really, really glad they did. All right. Stay on for a minute. I'm just going to sign off the stream.
Yeah, don't forget, coverage Thursday.
Coverage Thursday, right? Coverage Thursday.
And then
I got to get better at this. Jake, please.
Monday morning.
And then Monday morning. Yeah, that'll be the next stream. Will be Monday morning. Jake, I enjoyed tolerating you. You seem to have a very similar sense of humor to me. Wait, where is it? Okay, so this is here it is. This is the Twitch account. It's Anurag Das's Twitch. He's going to be broadcasting it, and it will be hosted by Gavin, and it will be me and Jarvis in the booth alongside Gavin separately. They will be playing for a $1,000 prize pool. It is a 32-person single elimination vintage cube tournament.
How did you get into that? Like, who determined who's in that invitational?
Gavin did.
Did they just read? Okay.
Yeah, he just sent out
invites. It was like J-Bro and other prominent cube streamers.
Yeah. and other just like people that Gavin knows through the MPL, and then other streamers and content creators. It's a pretty big pool, you know, like it reaches pretty far across the Magic, you know, community.
It's definitely interesting. I honestly didn't really know about it until I heard you were commentating. So I wonder if maybe I'm just not following the right people, but something I'm definitely interested in.
Well, I'm glad that the marketing campaign is working. He hired me for a reason.
There we go.
Well, okay. Well, anyway, seriously, come see me Thursday. It'll be 4 p.m. Pacific, so 7 p.m. Eastern, and I'll be there for a couple hours commentating. So probably be on camera for less time than this, so it should be easy for me to power through it, so to make sure I have a lot of caffeine and water. Okay, so with that, I'm gonna say goodnight to everybody because it's getting late here. So thank you again for everybody for showing up.
Yep.
I really appreciate it.